All right. Yeah, we almost did it. 2 hours.
That's close.
It's good, man.
I feel like it could go a lot farther.
We can. And honestly,
this
too,
is
like,
fun on multiple levels,
yeah,
Jason. Dude. It's like it's a remembrance of, and being here in this flat is really important because this is an area where I like when I first came to San Francisco. The first moment that I got a cab to where I was supposed to go was in this neighborhood, and then the first beer I got was in this neighborhood, and the first breakfast I had was in this neighborhood, and the first time I opened my eyes was like looking at the view from the place I was staying at. Cool. And all I saw was San Francisco for the first time is like this punk ass fucking Florida kid who like was just blown away, like, you know. So it's like really important for me to be able to even talk to you about anything that I've done as an artist in this you know, hood. It's awesome.
You say that you sat next to a fireplace that was painted with fingernail polish from a cracked out hairstylist.
That is super meticulous.
Right?
Well, I've decided to sleep with other women. Didn't mean it to come to this, but this is my only real choice. Things ain't working out the way we talked about. Not gonna sit here at night and hold my dick. Gonna hit the town, drink that Kentucky Brown, and fuck another chick. It's not that I'm not into you no more. It's just the way things are now. I think that I should score with another girl. I think that I've given this a pretty good twirl.
Welcome back to CurseRap. Thank you guys for listening. You're about to hear part 2 of my conversation with the amazing genius songwriter and guitar player Christian Blue. Hope you guys enjoyed part 1. I think it was awesome. I think it's safe to say also too that Christian will be the first return guest on CurseRap because, like it said in the very intro, that intro clip, we barely scratched the surface, and I don't mind that at all. The fact that we were able to sort of trade war stories about our experiences coming up through SF, I don't get to do that a lot, and it was fun to just talk about it in a not negative way, but in a very much like loving, celebratory way and manner. That was the song you just heard before that, obviously, Sleeping with Other Women by Pie Grinder, the late 2000s SF CurseRap band. That's actually me singing. I wrote that song with George D'Annunzio. And then obviously that clip was before that. Gets you guys kind of set up. I hope you guys are enjoying this. You know, it's been fun to talk to everyone and just get, I don't know, just to sort of like, if I led with the people I've talked with so far and what they've done, if I actually led with the sort of superficial, like, oh, you would know him from that, or he was doing this, or, you know, this famous person, blah, 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 I think that, you know, that's kind of like the stupid fucking version of, like, it's like a clickbait version. I'm not really, I think that's cool that they've done all that stuff, and we get into this during the conversations, but I'm interested in the person, and obviously you probably see a theme now working that a lot of these guys, these artists have stepped outside of that and started their own thing and are doing their own thing, and that's really like my sort of, I guess, attraction to wanting to converse with them, and I think it's cool. And you know, obviously you get to hear all the cool anecdotes and stuff in there, but you know, the fact that, you know, trying to separate the artist from this sort of I guess kind of any sort of celebrity or, you know, place that you could put them and just talk to them and dig into that part of their history, but also what they're doing, with how they decided to go about it, themselves, and try and figure out, like, or at least just how they came about to, like, start their own thing. That's what I'm fascinated with, and yeah, I mean, we're putting it out there. It's fucking cool. I love these guys. Are we're always coming to you from my Upper Haight, San Francisco apartment on cassette tape always. Just hope you guys fucking enjoy this and take the time to listen to it, because there's always some good fucking shit. Anyway, here we go. This is part 2 of my interview with Christian Blue.
Because I played so many of the most important shows of my life in the Covered Wagon and Annie's. So there I am, like, in 2016 in this building that has all these memories, and there's this shitty bar that's not even a bar on the side of the wall, and this guy who has he actually knew, he was at my shows, and when I told him the bands that I was in, he was like, oh shit, yeah, I've actually seen you before. And I was like, here? So I walked up to the stage, and I was like checking out the stage, and like Triclops released Out of Africa there, and
which is
like one of the best shows,
album,
one of the best shows I've ever played.
It's run by Jello.
And it was just a huge fucking, like, that venue is so important to so many of us, and all over the world, and to be in it in 2016 and have it kind of like this pizza place that didn't really have anything going on, and I was sitting around, and I asked the bartender, I was like, man, I didn't get a drink or whatever because I was kind of overwhelmed, and my girlfriend was looking at me like, holy shit, like, something's going on with him right now.
Yeah.
And I was literally having like a semi out of body experience where it's so strange, like, I'm not really entirely sure that it was a positive thing to be surrounded by this skeleton of a once legendary and, like, important, and the other thing about venues is that the venues wouldn't be anything without the personalities involved behind the bar, the bookers, like, everything is at play in that situation. So it's like, to be in that same skeleton where nobody has that personality and there isn't anything going on that is as fruitful and inspiring, it's like,
to give people context,
it's fucking weird.
This was a place where you could walk into a show and all of a sudden be in, like, a janitor's closet with Jello Biafra, or members of, I remember, like, Abe from the Bodies, just like people that are just like,
or the dwarves, or
right, yeah, and just like, yeah, you just, right, I mean, yeah, literally, like, fucking, like, people that you would listen, punk rock records you listen to when you're 12 or 13, you would go in to this venue to see this, a band, and you're just like, they're all just hanging out.
It was cool. Because all, like, a bunch of famous bands to us used to play there, and there was nowhere for them to hide.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I first moved here, I actually met James Hetfield at that bar at the Covered Wagon, and all my band members were too scared to go up to him, and I was just like, we just got our 7 inches that day, and I ran up to him, and his bodyguard was all like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And Hetfield looks at me, and he's all like, no, it's cool, dude. And I just walked up, and I'm like, well, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to tell you except for thanks for my childhood, and here's my 7-inch that just came out today. Did you catch our set? And he goes, no, I just got here. And I'm like, well, here, check it out. And I'm like, do whatever you want with it. And he's like, what do you think? You think I'm going to throw it out the window? And I'm like, well, I hope not, dude. I hope you check it out. And he's like, I'll check it out. And I'm like, right on. And I left. I remember meeting East Bay Ray there, and the only thing I could even say to him, because I was like a kid from Florida, I was like, you still live in the East Bay? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, cool.
I saw Fat Mike there. I saw Fat Mike outside there once not do cocaine that somebody offered him, because he's like, I got good shit. You don't got good shit. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And it was like, he was there, like, I think to see the amputees or, someone. He used to go to the Eagle. The Eagle, too, was fucking awesome. They used to have, it used to be one of the best fucking shows. Get another fusion, like, gay bar.
Yeah.
But like they had just, it was awesome. Like, you would, bands that, like, who could sell out Great American would play the Eagle. They'd play Annie's.
Yeah.
The local bands are just fucking awesome. And they would, like, you know, Scott the Holocaust was very fundamental in keeping a lot of that together. Because
and Audra, pre-Audra Slauson, who Stinky's Peep Show was a very important part of that whole deal. I mean, Stinky's Peep Show is the whole reason that the one and only time I've ever played the Fillmore happened.
Yeah. I mean, you could just fucking go, like, hang out with the graffiti crew on any given night.
Justice League was happening pre-Indy, too.
Yep.
And that was rad. Those days were rad.
Justice League, it was before that it was...
This is the Excavate San Francisco Soul episode.
Well, you know what?
CurseRap Excavate San Francisco
Well, I feel like we're not even lamenting. I just feel like we're sharing experiences and stories with fucking people. Like, that's... Like, again, like, I've come to a point where, like, I accept where we're at, for sure. And I'm not gonna... But it is nice to, like, go down a little bit of memory lane and be like...
It's totally true. I mean, we all move on. We all make different music. Like, the stuff that I'm making now on the Atomicolor label is completely different and moved on from anything that I was playing when I moved here. So, but it's cool to get the foundation. I'd be way more stoked right now if the people who are driving around in the driverless cars and the dudes, everybody who was getting on the Google bus was all like actual fucking aliens instead of people in Patagonia and fucking North Face. Like, if people were blue with antennas coming out of their fucking face,
I'd be satisfied if they're like doing cocaine
be cool.
on like a fucking program CDK or something, dude. Like, at least you're fucking living something.
Nickelback case. Yeah, I'd be super stoked if, like, the people leading the tech charge were, like, literally, like, aliens that had come into the planet specifically to start a business. See, that's you know, we all think about the aliens showing up and they get bummed out and they leave, or they try to fucking get married and it doesn't work out, but what if they just want to start a business? So they come in, they fall in, they set up shop in, of all places, Palo Alto. They start this company called Apple. They're all fucking cool, wiggly worms with fucking antennas and cool-ass makeup that we can't replicate because we don't have the colors. And they're the people that are responsible for the Google buses and all that shit. I think I'd be fucking stoked right now in this town.
If Steve Wozniak comes out as an alien, I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, that's what you chose, that body, dude? Like, you're a big motherfucker. And Steve Jobs showed you. But, no, well, in a sense, like, it's weird, because it's like, have you listened to the Joe Rogan episode with Tom DeLonge from Blink-182? Like, okay. Blink-182 is shit. That guy's, like, into aliens and stuff, but, like, it goes deep for, like, 3 hours into, like, this new project and how he's, like, having, like, and I was like, I don't think that guy's crazy, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was fucking weird. He was, like
he was making sense?
He was forming a narrative that you can actually fucking construe in your head and get there. I believe if you're looking for anything and anything, you'll be able to find a little bit of it. But the narrative was enough. But like, I just found it fascinating. I was like, dude, like you read all this stuff before you guys like got tour bus. You know, it was like 1996 or something. It's like these onions and beach, and, like fucking pink hair, and, like who's gonna bang Gwen Stefani or something. Dude, Mike sang a No Doubt song last night in my room. He made me put it on karaoke. It's weird. Can I just say this too? At one point during your CD release for the album or the record release for the EP at the Lost Church, when he was singing the Kanye song, and I like
nobody knew. Nobody knew.
But I was looking around the room and I see Jelly Biafra's like 3 feet from me, and he's just like, he has no idea what's going on.
Nobody did.
Larry, I don't even know where he's at. Look over at you with your parents. I was like, this Christian and his parents. I was like, I feel like I'm on acid, but I'm not. Mike is fucking, he's singing, he's covering a Kanye song that's on a cassette tape that he recorded from the internet. I was like, oh shit.
So psychedelic.
It was fucking rad.
Nobody got it either. Which is part of the beauty of it.
When I came in, and like I walked back out, so I was like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
And the guys, I know you did it right. Usually people come in and like ruin the fucking entire performance because they're loud and shit, so you kind of did it right. And I was just like, I have no idea when you told me what was happening, I just did, like, that was a cool fucking thing, man. You actually, that's the first time I've listened to a rendition of Led Zeppelin and not roll my eyes in like 6 years.
Yeah, man.
Dude, that was fucking awesome, dude.
I'm basically, every time I play solo acoustic under my name, Christian Eric Blue, like, I'm going to play that same song, which is on my album, and it's kind of like a hidden little part of this song called Rain Dance of Death. And there's the Rain song is attached to Rain Dance of Death, and I'm just waiting for Led Zeppelin to find out, or anybody to find out and like come at me, because I'm like, sweet, I'll be validated. I want a lawsuit from Jimmy Page right away.
Crazy. He's like, I was listening to this CurseRap thing. No, I was just like, I like this better than the album House of Holy version.
Who knows, man? Jimmy Page might be listening to CurseRap. You never know.
They're all gonna listen to it in rehab or fucking like, hey, like doctor told me I can't do the good stuff, so I got this CurseRap thing that I'm turning you on to. Like, these guys don't know what they're doing. He's like, cassette tapes only have one channel, man. You can't fucking edit it. Back to Triclops. So, okay, you guys, 2005, and then kind of, sort of, in the vacuum, just like became like, well, live, but like, hey, you also like if you signed Alternative Tentacles?
Well, the way it went was John and I started playing around on this. We actually started making noise together, and we started to record it. And I actually just released it on my label, Atomicolor, and it's called Meth Bird.
That's
and
awesome.
It's kind of a Tenderloin homage, because we are doing this in the Tenderloin.
Meth Bird.
Yeah,
Dude.
Meth Bird. Believe it or not, y'all, Meth Bird is on Spotify, strangely enough.
Streaming live right now.
Yeah. So we were recording it on my 4-track, and it was basically just throbbing and noise and wah pedals and weird shit going on, and then we somehow made, in the middle of that, we would actually we would basically rehearse without a rhythm section. I would play guitar and I would show him kind of ideas that I was working at, and dude, like, admittedly, like, I was still such a fucking crude ass guitar player at that point. And I was like trying, and part of the really
girlfriends had crushes on you, dude.
Oh shit, man! Right on. I had a really shitty haircut back then too. But anyway, so I would like, I was so fucking stoked to play with Johnny that I would like desperately try to come up with cool shit when I was home on the guitar, and then we would meet up, and I would like honk down on this riff or whatever, and he was, you know, working with it and whatever, and it was basically just like a hang, but it was a super creative hang.
Right.
And I recorded some of it, and then I just did some real quick drum tracks to it, and then we reached out to a friend of ours to play some bass tracks on it, and who was Martin from this band Pitch Black that used to play around town.
I think I saw that.
They were amazing. They were so fucking good.
Sleepy Time Girl Museum.
Probably.
Yeah. Remember that?
So that was how it started, and just us making noise and kind of coming up with these weird, like, the noise section of it was much broader than the song section of it, and we actually gave those tapes to Phil and Larry, and they were like, what the fuck is this crap? But somehow they actually heard something that was worth a shit in the song structure that piqued their interest.
Which is really very, very cool, because the way that you guys structured the songs, I thought at the time, I was just like, this is the most punk rock shit I've ever heard, but like, it's, you know, getting out of all that element, whereas it's like, sometimes I felt like there was like 3 or 4 songs in the song. Like,
with a lot of
information, it came out right. I mean, it was just like, it was a journey.
I mean, the first release,
which is like what you can't really say about a lot of that kind of music, where it's like you listen to the album, it's like a journey. And like that first video too you guys released, I was like, yeah, fucking weird.
Yeah, they actually pulled that off YouTube because Johnny bit a bunch of footage from a BBC thing about bot flies, so they actually took it down. We had like 40,000 views or whatever, and all of a sudden it vanished. We're like, holy shit.
Right, dude,
the internet police.
Yeah. I watched that. I was like, I don't know. I don't feel good about life right now. But it's really fucking good. I was like, it's so good. That album, like...
Just a reminder that we really are susceptible to invasion, you know?
Yeah.
Of the smallest scale.
Totally.
You know? And Johnny actually did get a bot fly.
He's invaded everything, man.
That was one of the
documentaries and books, and like I always got a feeling that he's like, I woke up at 4:30, wrote some shit down, and then punk rock, whatever. Anyway, so yes, so you guys are like, all of a sudden I was just like, I remember like talking to Conan from Replicator, and he was like, and he had maybe told me about you guys, told me when I hadn't seen you guys, and you know, at that point, like I thought, you know, Replicator was, you know, doing some really awesome shit. I thought they were seminal and whatnot, and like there was, I was just
stoked on them, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
right on.
Fucking Fashionably Latent. Yeah, Replicator was awesome. There's 3 bands during that time. Triclops, you guys, Replicator, Foreign Blows, you know, Foreign Blows are from LA. That to me like opened me up to a lot of shit, and also to like you go see them and you walked out and people are like, fuck. You know how fucking hard that is?
Well, seriously, I mean, like, you know,
like you guys, like, I would hear people talk about it. Friends I take, like, you guys would fucking transcend everything, and like people were walking out going, fuck, what the fuck was that? Like, I'm worn out. That's amazing, dude.
It was every song was a lot of information in the Triclops. There was definitely a lot of emotions and a lot of moods, and it was like this specifically set up to go into that longer format too, because there was more information to share, like there was more to get across, and it wouldn't stop unless it was supposed to stop, and a lot of times that meant that things were 7 minutes, but like Freedom Tickler
progression from your other bands up to that too?
No, this was an Triclops was the band for me that actually finally got to the point where I was confident enough as a songwriter to explore all of the territory that had inspired me, and it was kind of an amazing moment for me, because there was these zones, there was like a couple different zones, so it's like all of the bands that kind of feed into that information zone are, as a kid, my first concert was Rush. My dad's Canadian, so we went to Rush. Zeppelin, my neighbor turned me on to, the Melvins, and then those are all bands that are not scared of long song formats with a lot of different zones and curves and twists. And then I actually discovered the Mars Volta early on in 2001, 2002.
They were fans of Triclops, right?
Eventually. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Probably, maybe not. But they were, you know, famous. And I went to see them at the Great American at their first ever show, or their second show, second tour in San Francisco, and that was pretty life-changing for me, because it was the first time that I saw a crowd in a venue that wasn't predominantly like white dudes. It was like Latinos, Mexicans, and they were really fucking proud, and they were loud as fuck, and they were in full force partying, and you had the element of the drummer John Theodore at the time, which was very Bonzo-esque, and you had the way that the dude was playing the guitar was very Latin, very Puerto Rican, because he's a Puerto Rican dude.
El Paso, right?
So it's like they're all from, those 2 dudes grew up in El Paso, but for me that was the start of the template of what would come into Triclops, because that was a lot of different things that I hadn't thought about before. Like, and another band to throw into the longer.
I always thought there was a Jesus Lizard element.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine, dude.
But the Lizard wasn't known for 7-minute songs.
No, they weren't. But I always thought there was this.
But they would pack in a lot of information.
Yes.
That was definitely. They were one of my favorite bands. I saw them in Florida before I moved here, and that was a life-changing thing too. I met them, what actually turned out to be kind of amazing, because Triclops ended up playing one of their last shows on their reunion run, which is kind of crazy, in Chicago, no less.
Yeah.
Seriously, and then the Butthole Surfers are also people who had long formats,
right.
And these are all things that like kind of inspired the whole deal. I was listening to a lot of Acid Mother's Temple at the time too,
cool.
So there was this kind of open, and this is also during Comets on Fire. So there was a lot of experimentation and a lot of weird guitarisms that were kind of floating around that were kind of pushing into that whole thing, and I just decided to like...
During that time too, sorry.
Yeah.
DMBQ?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
I was like, that was like, my kind of introduction to like just sort of psychedelic.
They would always play with Dwyer and Deerhoof and shit.
I saw them with Don Caballero.
Yeah.
Yeah, they played at the bottom of the hill, and the guitar player for Don Caballero, like, you could tell he had like slept in like 3 or 4 days. Just like his just dark circles under his eyes. He's just like hugging the wall. I was like, dude, go to sleep, man.
Right. No, but that was kind of what informed the whole long song. We just didn't care. We were just like, we're just gonna play it as long as possible. Like, so the first song on Cafeteria Brutalia, Bug Bomb, was, it's like 10 minutes, and we're like, holy shit, it's 10 minutes, whoops. And then we're like, fuck it.
Yeah, but it's authentic. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what's awesome about it, where it's like, I feel like there's no pretension there, and also, like, what I've always thought about, like, a record that's just, like, you can just tell, like, this is what the band, this is the phase of the band, or this is what they're, and it's, to that is, like, it's good because it's not trying to be anything better than good. Like this is where they're at, and, like, you can just see that, like, which is, I feel like there's a lot of bands who are very one-dimensional, who are just this, and this. And
I feel like they're kind of trained to believe, especially in the now YouTube video zone, where you kind of hone in on your look and your sound, and it's actually the real recipe for success is to stick to one thing and like burn the hell out of it, and then when you finally...
Depends on what your definition of success is, though.
Right.
At the same time, like, I would argue that the Melvins and Sonic Youth are 2 of the most successful bands ever. But if you judge it by industry standards,
Sonic Youth was another one. Long songs.
We were all dude. When you you were collaborating with Lee Ronaldo a little bit, right?
Well, that's the whole reason the new solo album came up, because I was talking to him about recording me.
By the way, for people who don't know, Lee Ronaldo was the original guitar player in Sonic Youth.
Yeah, one of 2.
Yeah, and you should check out those live videos, that first European tour in like 85 or 4, Making the Nature Scene, where I'm like, dude, Lee Ronaldo's the coolest person on stage! Anyway, so you were talking, that's how that album came about?
Oh yeah, so I saw him play at the Swedish American Hall, and I was hanging out in the bar downstairs, and he was hanging out eating dinner, and I went up to him, and I was wearing a Mudhoney shirt, and we hung out, and I was like, dude, I met you in LA, and he was like, holy shit, yeah, I remember you, and kind of like before I left him that night, I was like, would you ever be interested in producing some dude that you never know, you don't really know? And he's like, yeah, of course. So I got his contact, and we went back and forth about it kind of a lot, and it was right in the middle of him doing the music stuff for that HBO series Vinyl.
Yeah.
That already got canceled.
Yeah. He was doing the...
He was in the band, like playing the bands. He was like probably part of curating the tunes or whatever, so it was a very busy time, so it didn't work out. So the album that I actually released was the demos that I was sending to him. Because I was like, oh, it sounds fucking cool, and I sent it to a couple of my friends who are smarter than me, and they were like, yeah, that's done. I was like, okay. So I had the confidence to actually release it instead of sit on it.
What was that like? That feeling?
That's the record release party.
Yeah, right, yeah. But what was that feeling like? It was interesting watching you. I only know you, and I've seen you play in that one environment, and watching you play. It was really fucking cool, because I felt like I was seeing. I feel like you were seeing your complete, again, vulnerability on that, where
right.
Like, you were. I mean, you just, this was like, you didn't know, or you were nervous, and
totally nervous.
It just felt, and then but some of the stuff that you did, I don't remember you did a loop or whatever, and then you were talking about the guitar player who Mike turned you on to, and there's some beat that you had made, and you did it, and I was like, what's fucking happening? I like looked at Mike, and I looked at your dad. He was looking at me and Mike, and he was just like, those fuckers are blown away. Like, it was awesome, dude. It's fucking cool. Like, again, like,
my parents asked me if I knew any slower numbers, and I realized when they asked me that I had forgotten one of the really pretty slow numbers that I have, because I was so nervous and so caught up in the moment.
Which was so fucking cool to see, because you played so many shows, and you fucking, like, you've been around so many fucking influential, people, like, heroes of yours and mine.
Ours.
And played in front of them, and to see that, like, it was fucking, like, it was awesome. I was like, holy shit, this guy fucking, he doesn't know, and it's awesome.
Dude, full circle, like, that's how scary playing acoustic in front of people by yourself is. Like, with no pedals and no amplification and no crazy singer and no cool-ass drummer, like, you're just out there by yourself, and that's another reason why I, like, talk so much, because I'm just trying to, like, riff and let people know that it's, like, don't be, like, you can, not be so polite. You can give me a little shit and it's fine.
Oh, you get 40 people sitting there, no phones out, watching you, take it in, and walk away fulfilled. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no phones out is a huge victory.
Yeah.
Like, one phone out to film it, I had it filmed, and, like, blew me away. Like, that there was nobody...
Right.
Nobody texting during the show.
I felt like it was sort of the prevailing mood, too. It was like, if you did do the phone, you're fucking dead, Like, it was awesome to see, and it's like, that's like, sort of, I feel like, there's no... You're good, and you put out some of the best music. You've been a part of, like, my growing up here, but I feel like what's awesome is that there's a very humility. There's humility to you. You're very humble about things, and, like, you are, like, starting this new fucking thing, and I feel like it's really fucking important for, like, I don't know, like, there's so much cynicism now. I feel like, especially when you talk to, like, your bands or musicians, where it's like, well, first of all, have you done everything you've done, or you could do, to justify the cynicism? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you guys were on the fucking road for years.
Well, that's kind of the thing that, like, when if you're in I don't know, it's all different for, everybody is different, but it's like when you play in bands and then and then you're not in that band, and you're kind of starting from scratch, and then I don't know, I'm very grateful for all of my projects and any of the players that have ever spent even a minute, like, listening to anything that I wrote, you know, and then, like, can't even believe that there's some people, like, for instance, like, the Anywhere stuff that I'm at the helm of, like, I'm still kind of almost in denial that a lot of those people even bother to contribute to it, Like, I just...
Right.
So for listeners, I just gifted Jason Myers a bunch of Anywhere records. I'm not sure if he knew about it before, but it's a collaboration that I do with a bunch of different people. Check it out.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's because it's not a live thing. It's not like it's more of a... It's a collaborative thing, and it's never been a live thing, and it's more of a recording collective kind of a zone.
But Scott Martin, he was, like, telling me how he's, like, been releasing music in, like, 3 or 4 different things online, like, for years or whatever.
And people do it, and you never know.
Right, he was like, to the card, now if you could find it. I was like, yes. You would go to that show and see, like, he's been in, what is that, Crom. Mm-hmm. He's been in that for, like, years. I haven't been to Grindcore show in a minute, but again, it was just like what's so fucking cool is also too, like, there is, I've never seen you post or talk. You never prefaced anything with, well, I did this first, or like you just doing your thing, and I that's, to me, I feel like that is somebody who's like totally like, man, like this is where I'm at. Like this
I honestly think that's because of me coming to age in San Francisco specifically. Like, realized during the years of living here that San Francisco had a very celebratory approach to fame and famous people. Like, I'd be at a club and I would see somebody like Kirk Hammett, for instance, at Bottom of the Hill, and there would be somebody who would give a shit, and then there'd be 5 guys over there that would be like, fuck that dude, his shit sucks.
Yeah.
And that is so not the case. Like, I lived in Los Angeles for a year, and that is so not the case there. Like, there, you actually introduce yourself, you know, in a plethora of different ways with your resume, and maybe you don't, but other people do.
Right. Well,
it's how the town works. It's not a negative or a positive. It's just the way that people go about their achievements or whatever, because they're trying to hustle and they're trying to get their stuff out. But for some reason, like, being conditioned here and having,
there was definitely a no fuck attitude.
Yeah, like having that kind of instilled in you. You don't meet somebody and you're like, oh, hey, what's up? My name's Christian. You know, I was in this band and I opened up for this band and I collaborate with this guy. You don't say that. You're just like, hey, what's up?
It was like working, seeing like younger people though now in the city, and you know, working at the indie and stuff. Like, I feel like there is an emerging sort of guest list culture. Like,
guest list culture, dude. That's so good. Have you ever? Do you know about the book Give Me Something Better, which is like a comprehensive history, or, you know, arguably comprehensive history of punk rock in the Bay Area? There's definitely some shitty stories about the Misfits when they first came to town.
Was that turned into a documentary?
No. But it was Silky Tudor was the music editor for the SF Weekly for a long time, and she actually co-authored the book. Got a bunch of interviews from a bunch of different folks, and it's pretty rad. It's a pretty fun read.
Cool.
Yeah,
I remember.
It kind of makes cruising around town really fun because you hear a bunch of stories about different locations. And
sweet! Fuck yeah!
Get to think about what was going on and how it shaped the whole zone.
Right.
You know,
it's like
my favorite is the Deaf Club, where there used to be a club that was specifically for deaf people in the Mission, and then one of the punks showed up at some point and they asked to rent it, and they rented it from a deaf person.
Yeah.
And then they started bringing the bands, and the deaf people were really into it because they could feel it.
Yeah.
And they were dancing like crazy, and then the punks were in there too, so it was like this kind of cross scene going on. Because some of my first shows that I ever played were at the Florida Deaf and Blind School. That was some of the first gigs I ever played in my life. And they were always amazing.
Remember the Lipo Lounge shows?
I played acoustic once there.
Those were
in the basement.
Yeah, it's like, how is this happening? Whoever opened that up, it was just again, it was like,
I called them and asked them last year if I could book something, and they're like, we don't do shows anymore, and hung up on me.
Good shit. I always felt like I was
that's a smart answer.
Right, I I played with Landline there, and I was I remember telling Johnny B, guitar player, and I was like, dude, I think I can go upstairs and have sex with the bartender, the hooker. It was just, you know what I'm saying? It was just fucking insane. It would be like in a basement in a Chinatown bar. It would be all these old timers upstairs and kind of sexy prostitute, I'm thinking, bartenders who made the strongest fucking drinks ever. And then downstairs would be 30 fucking punks, hipster, DIY fucking kids, you know, playing obnoxious shit, you know, whatever it was.
Every time I was getting drinks at the Lipo, it was always from somebody's aunt. Felt like it was somebody's aunt.
Oh, I apologize to whoever's aunt that is out there. If you're wearing a fucking mini skirt in Chinatown, you're in the bar and maybe just draw some shit. I don't know, man. So sort of coming back around, where what are the sort of the ambitions behind going forward? Is this you're putting just your stuff out and this is the mecca and that's what you want, or where is there an ambition?
Well, there was a zone that I got into where, you know, I had a lot of material that I'd made by myself with my partner, and we called that Modern Limbs, and
Awesome.
I had a couple different like releases, and I was trying to figure out how to do this, and I kind of noticed that the normal template of getting people to, get interested in your stuff or release it on vinyl was kind of a difficult process in this day and age, and if you're not touring. And I just thought, like, yeah, I spent enough time kind of relocating a lot of my past catalog around my house. What would it be like if I tried to make it more of a situation where everyone can hear it online for free, and then people can, buy it directly from me on the Bandcamp page if they want. But also, like, if I play shows, instead of having physical merchandise for those specific releases, what if the releases, like you witnessed at the show, like the download code was tied to a rose, but that was on the house because that was a celebration. Going forward, I want the merch to be a little bit more, a little less burdensome on myself and anybody who's carrying, because I kind of want it to be like either a poster, where if you're really don't want to hold on to it, you can recycle it, or it's something where you can actually like compost it. And I'm not, it sounds like a kind of a hippie zone, but at the same time it's like I have enough records and enough stuff, right. And if you really want to put it on vinyl, then we should talk and you should email me. But at this day and age, it seems a little bit quicker, and in this day and age of satisfaction on the snap, it's like here's 5 records that I've made in the last 2 years with different people and solo, and I want people to hear them. They're an extension of my soul, and I want them out there. But at the same time, I don't want my emotions to be, negatively affected by the fact that I have a bunch of copies of this physical thing in my house that I'm going to think that nobody cares about because they're not buying them. I'd rather have people just listening to it online and have easy access to it, because I'm not sure how I'm going to be touring in the aspects. Like, I have a kind of a solo drum record that I put out called Atomicolor Psychedelic Bateria. I have the Christian Eric Ballou Celebrates the Drunk Ghost of San Francisco, which is all acoustic. I have Modern Limbs Bring Layers. There's a band that was on Alternative Tentacles for a small amount of time called Peace Creep that put out our last record. So there's all these things that I really just want people to check out, and I just want them to have them if they want. So,
I like it. Give them what they need, not what they want. In a sense, meaning, like, again, I also think too, it's there's some notion that like having copies it's a fucking, one, it's a burden. Two, it can really fuck with your fragile psyche here and there. But also too, I like the idea that like, oh, you want this you want this this version, like these copies are moved or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, like I can make this exist with your just one order, or you can go consume it. But we all sort of we're all dictated sort of by the times in a sense, and I kind of like that approach of like, this is it.
Yeah, it was totally me trying to like find my place in the current times, right. Like, and not put up a fight against it and right. Try to stick to that old template. Like, really truly trying to figure out a way to kind of forge ahead and get stuff out there and get people checking it out.
Yeah. But
it's totally been working. I mean, people have been listening to it, and I'm stoked on that.
Yeah, it's fucking good. I mean, that's getting to a point, I guess, where it's like, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing, and like, this is it. There it is. But having the mechanism to release it, but also like I don't care about. I want you to experience it, consume it, whatever. Have your opinions on it. But ultimately, I don't care, because I'm only concerned about if my next release is better than my last one. To me, that's
or at least on par with your expectations.
Right.
Yeah. Somebody was recently asking me why the hell like cassettes resurfaced, and I told them the way that I felt about it, but then they still didn't really like. They're like, they still just didn't understand why people were making tapes, because they were really like, what it came down to was them being skeptical of the amount of listening devices. And I was like, well, you can get Walkmans off of places, and you can get tape players, and yes, they're going to have problems or whatever, but it's more about,
It sounds different.
it's kind of a rebellion against the tech industry in a manner, small manner of speaking, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, younger bands are releasing tapes because they
Cheaper.
don't want to fucking put their music up on Spotify, which makes total sense. I totally respect that.
Right. They
Because you're never going to see a dime from those people.
It's
You know?
literally like they are taking that play away from the people who are ripping you off, like whatever platform. And also too, it sounds different, and there's also a level of like, there's to me it's not a nostalgia factor. Like these tapes where it's weird because I was like, when I interview people, even when I come back to this 15 years later. This recording, even though the tape is aged, there's no
physical.
there's no visual component to it.
Oh, right.
The tape, so it only exists in the present tense. So everything that we say, even if we like dated ourselves in this interview, it only exists in that fucking moment. It's weird. There's no visual component to it. It's fucking far out and weird.
November 8th, 2017.
2 days after.
Dated.
2 days after Christian became an alien, and I turned 32.